I am the chess strategist, and today we're going to win another chess game. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our chess speedrun. Today we're going to be playing a 10 plus 5 rapid game. In our last game, we did have an interesting game in Sicilian defense where our opponent played very well, and they were able to take us to a long game, but we were able to squeeze out the win in the end. And today I'm hoping we get another similar game where our opponent plays well and we're able to showcase a lot of strategies. So we do get the white pieces today, and we are going to start off with e4. I'm playing a lot of e4. Today we're going to play e4. Opponent plays typical response e5. We're going to play knight f3, attacking their pawn. They play knight c6. And we are going to play another Roy Lopez here with bishop to b5. Opponent plays a6, the main line. And we drop our bishop back, and they play knight to the center. And we are going to castle here and move our rook over. And they play b5 and develop their bishop to e7. So they're playing very classical Roy Lopez style. We're going to play c3. They're playing very theory heavy kind of Roy Lopez with their bishop on e7. Probably going to play d6 here. Yep. We're going to play h3. We've played into a main line, and they're playing the, I believe this is called the Zaitsev Roy Lopez. This is all theory up to now, and there is a few moves in this position. One of them being d3, and there's also d4. I'm thinking d4 is the move we want to go for. Yes, our opponent is playing very traditional Roy Lopez style. They're not playing in a way where there's much thinking for us. This is just the moves you play in the Roy Lopez. This is one of the main lines of the Roy Lopez. And when you play an opening like this, the Roy Lopez, of course, you need to know this kind of stuff. There have been thousands of games from the position like this, and it's the most common opening in all of professional chess. So it's good to know what you're getting into with these kind of openings. They've been very well explored. And c2 is a nice square for your bishop. It covers this pawn, which can be targeted. That's the whole idea of this Zaitsev variation, is your opponent is going to try to put their rook on this file here and attack your pawns in the center of the board. Here they've simplified a little bit. I think a little too prematurely. Again, they want to open the file here, but the file is not, like, they have to move this bishop for this rook to even have any influence. And we might be able to break even sooner than that. So I'm not really super concerned about any of this. Also, I am noticing that we do have the possibility of just completely trapping his knight in some of these positions. If we can disallow this square, his knight is just going to have nothing. So we can play d5, and then we can play b3, and then we can move our bishop here, and he has to do something to defend. I guess he can do his queen. I guess it's not really that practical. It's just really not that practical to do that. Let's see. We can also lift our queen up and then play a move like this, opening up. But I don't really want to leave our queen on the file if it's going to trade. We don't want to trade queens here. We've got the attacking side of this kind of position, and our opponent has to defend. We don't really want to trade. I'm not sure if we want to play e5 or d5. That's really the main consideration in this position. Do we lock his knight on the side of the board with d5, or do we break with e5? E5 just looks like it simplifies the position into something that I don't really want. Let's just develop our knight. That can't be a bad move. Adding more defenders to this pawn that's going to be attacked again. He's going to move this bishop probably back to f8. That's kind of the plan, I would think. And we've also freed up this b1 square for our bishop if he decides to jump his knight like this, which is very likely. That's what people do a lot in these positions. And now this d5 move is a little bit more tantalizing, just a little bit. But still, I'm just not really that enthused by it. It just doesn't seem like it's what we want. Where is our dark square bishop going to go? That's a nice idea to think about. Does it want to go to this square? Does it want to go here? I'm not sure. We could put our bishop out to f4 for now. Drop it back to h2 if required. And from f4, it's covering the square at least once. It makes d5 a little bit more attractive of a possibility for us. Right, and here I'm noticing an opportunity to start opening the board a little bit. And we're going to start doing it. His queen's jumped to this very weak diagonal. It's not weak yet, but we'd like to weaken it. Taking here would be a very bad move on his part. Like this, taking and pinning his own knight, allowing us to play d5 with a lot of power. Alright, and he's decided to make his structure very light square focused over here. And this dark square bishop is now becoming a much better piece in the process. Alright, so I'm starting to see he's blunting this diagonal. This is the diagonal our bishop wants to belong on. What do we do here? Opponent's playing very quickly. I wonder how much theory they actually knew. It looks like our opponent wants to play his dark square bishop, maybe fianchetto style. Keep the pressure on this pawn. Alright, we're going to lift our queen here. Actually, that's a terrible move. No, don't do that. Let's trade pawns. He's going to take. And, can he take anything here? Let's see. Take. Queen. Oh, yeah, we're fine. We win a pawn here. We're going to take this pawn. And he drops his knight back to g7 immediately. That was his move that he was cooking up all this time, I guess. Kind of an interesting one that he's focusing on. It doesn't really make much sense to me. But okay. Right, here we're going to jump our rook up. The idea is we do not want him to take our rook and then allow our queen to go here and then also get the file. We like our rook to be on the file too, so if we do trade rooks, it's going to be all the rooks because we are up a pawn. We don't want to allow him to get an attack on our queen with tempo. And yeah, I'm starting to like our position. First of all, we are up a pawn. We do have two pawns in the center. Those are major assets in this kind of position. The problem is there is a lot of pieces still on the board. In fact, there's all of them still on the board. So our opponent has a lot of attacking potential. But notice his bishop is obstructing his rook, and his pieces are just kind of poorly placed. His knight is kind of poorly placed. He doesn't have a lot of good routes into our position yet. We're going to drop our knight back. Just say, hey, we've got a pawn. You have bad pieces. Our pieces are okay. They're not great still, but, you know, we got okay pieces all around here. And, yeah, you need to find some sort of pawn break or something so that you can continue attacking us. And if not, you're going to lose the game because we're going to have an extra pawn in the endgame. So yeah, I'm wondering what our opponent's plan is here. Maybe there's some plan of jumping the bishop out like here, but we do have our knight covering, so I'm not super concerned about that. This bishop looks like it's not doing much, but it's really kind of discouraging him from advancing this pawn ever, which I like. And I'm thinking let's just trade the rooks. Trading rooks is just a nice move to do. And there's not really a good invasion square for him either with his rook on that file, so I'm not really concerned about it. Alright, I'm thinking we could probably break like this. I like this pawn break for a few reasons. First of all, if we get this bishop here, it's like excellent. Okay, he's traded off his bishop. Alright, and we have doubled our pawns over here, weakening our king, which is a consideration, but we still are up a pawn. We're able to simplify this position a lot more. And I really like that. Alright, and our knight is going to jump here. We're going to play off some tactics here. His bishop is the only thing preventing this fork from happening. So we're going to play off this bishop, and we're going to try to make him move this bishop to an unfavorable diagonal. We're going to play f4. Noticing that all our pieces are defending this pawn, he can't really do much. He's going to have to move his bishop along this diagonal here. Retreat it. He could also move his rook like this. Attack our knight. It's also plan. Alright, and he's decided to move his queen. So it looks like he wants to trade. He wants to get rid of this knight, really, is the idea. Which is fine with me. to just move our queen, covering this knight. And this bishop still has to move. It can go here. It goes all the way back. And here opponent has blundered. Yeah, he's not noticing the standoff between the queens here that we've created, but I am, and I'm noticing that now we can play this move. Knight f6 check, which yes gives him a horse, but we do win his queen, and that is pretty bad for him. I would say that's pretty game losing when you lose your queen like that. Discovered attacks are very difficult to see, of course. This game is going to be about converting our advantage cleanly. And that's what we're going to have to do here. So the first thing I'm seeing is we want to get as many pieces off the board as possible. One thing we can do is drop our rook all the way here on the file. And give a check. Now he can take with the rook. Or he can just move his king. If he moves his king up, we will just move our queen somewhere and make sure our bishop is still defended. So we're going to give a check. Let's just move our queen. No. Let's make sure there's no tactical issues here. Let's give a check with the rook. Alright, and he does take with his rook. We take. Now we can take like this. And yeah, we just want to get all the pieces off the board. We don't want any pieces left. Opponent has going to have nothing to defend themselves with, and they just resign. It makes sense to me. Alright, let's do a quick analysis here. And this was the Ruy Lopez, which is a very, I would say, difficult opening to learn at first because there's a lot of theory. It's been very well explored. And just to give you the TLDR, we basically played moves that have been played by many people before in a lot of these positions. This position's been seen hundreds and hundreds of times, and so is this position, and so is this position. So when you play a very well explored opening like the Ruy Lopez, you must know the moves. And our opponent went for a sideline here with knight a5. Usually the main move is rook to e8. Like I was telling, you basically want to create a lot of pressure on this pawn here in this Zaitsev variation. And we trade pawns in the center, then they move their rook over, and we developed our knight. And usually in the Ruy Lopez, you're going to develop your knight to d2, and you're going to go over like this. But we actually decided to go with knight c3, and it's still good. Of course, knight d2 was a little bit better according to the engine, but all these positions you have to just make a judgment, and our judgment was here that knight to the center was a little better. And the engine says the best move is bishop to f8, and I'm not surprised. That seems like the best move to me, because the whole idea is you need to have this rook active, creating pressure. This bishop never moved. Never moved the whole game, and the whole point is to drop it back so that you can create pressure. And it really just stayed on that square for the longest time, and let's see, we were able to just simplify, create strong piece play, and we won a pawn here, and we're able to attack here. We traded pieces, we advanced in the center, and apparently after bishop takes f3, pawn takes, and d5 were actually slightly worse. d5. Move our queen up. Now, so we did make a small mistake here, giving up our advantage. And that was this move d5. Not d5, sorry, e5 that we made. We should have played d5 here. e5 was a mistake. But we were able to win back the position with this tactic. And queen e4 was the best move, so I'm actually really glad I found it. And our opponent decided to blunder. And the blunder was this move bishop back to d8, where this knight f6 move, which is the best move, does win us a queen. And we are able to win the queen. And we give a check. And we take. And yeah, from here, it's just simplify, simplify. Basically, the plan in this position would have been if he takes like this, wherever, we just, yep. It's the best move, and I understand why. You just want to start advancing your pass pawn. Your opponent is not going to have, he has a bishop and a knight against a queen and a bishop. The bishop and the queen are going to win every single time. We're just going to be able to get another queen. We're going to win the game. It's going to be really easy. So, I'm really happy with this game. I feel like we were able to play it to the best of our ability and win a nice clean game using a tactic. And, yeah, you always have to keep your eye out for these tactics. Hanging pieces or pieces that are not defended are always subjects for tactics, and this is no different. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and have a good rest of your day. See ya.